So in today's video, I'm going to talk about medical issues, chronic illness, and eventually anxiety and some other things. I want to talk about this today because I feel like if someone talked about their experiences with everything, I feel like it would have made me feel 1,000 times better. Oh, by the way, I'm Izzy. I make videos. They're really fun. They're about my life. Generally not as deep as this, but I do talk about stuff like this sometimes. Grab a snack and a blanket and some coffee. When I was a kid, I would always be that kid who would just take off all their clothes in the middle of winter in Minnesota when it's negative 20 degrees. I hated clothing. Car seats, I felt restricted and it was really bad, and I would scream and I would cry and I was always naked as a child. But I remember always screaming and crying, getting ready for things to go to church or something where I had to put on some nice clothing. We moved to Florida when I was 4, so in 2008. It got a little bit easier and it was hot and I didn't have to bundle up and wear snow pants and big socks and big shoes. Hated socks, still do. We had a pool and that was the best feeling in the world. I hated putting on a swimsuit, but I would be okay with it because I knew once I got in the pool, everything would be perfect. But I found it really funny because me and my family were looking at family videos and there's a video of me. I was just born 10 minutes ago. And the nurse puts me in the water to wash me off or whatever. And I'll start crying and then she puts me in the water and I'm just silent. She takes me out, crying, aggressive crying. Water, fine. And I just think it's the funniest thing ever. So we moved back to Minnesota, 2011, and it got worse because snow gear, socks, snow pants, all that stuff. So hard. Screaming, crying every morning. I can't describe to you the feeling unless you know what it's like. So 2nd grade, I go to the doctor. My mom brings me in. She's like, this isn't normal. What's wrong with my child? And they're like, oh, sorry, I need to stop joking. And they're like, oh, you have sensory processing disorder. And my mom was like, oh, and I was like, oh, and I was like, what? I wasn't told this because I was too young to understand this concept apparently, but it would have helped me so much if I had been told that. So I felt like there was a reason for why I was feeling what I was feeling. Anyway, I went to physical therapy and they would do things like play in shaving cream and they would put lotion on you and it was horrible and I hate lotion. Hated. I like lotion now. But it got better. In 3rd grade, I wore the same shirt to school 2 days in a row because it was the only thing I could put on my body. My friend goes, didn't you wear that shirt yesterday? And I was like, I just started crying. Teacher's like, friend or bully? And I was like, friend. It's hard to describe, but it feels like everything on your body is not right. Your clothing is made out of hay and it's all over your body. That's what it feels like. 5th grade. It got worse. I went back to therapy, but at a different therapy place. It was better because it was more geared towards these specific issues instead of just the general doctor's office where the other one was. I remember I had to leave school every Friday early and I lied to everyone and told them that I had to leave early for karate. My brain couldn't think of anything else that I had to leave school for every week early than karate, so that's what I chose apparently. I would sleep in the clothing that I would wear the next morning. I would spend 2 hours sitting in this very floor with my heater on, reading Babysitter's Club while trying to put on a pair of leggings to fall asleep in. There are 2 sweaters that I'd wear. One was pink and one was blue. They're both from Old Navy. But 6th grade is also the time where I started to have to pee every 15 minutes. I was so confused. Why is my bladder so weak suddenly? Also, when I started becoming extremely nauseous for no reason, would go to the doctor, be like, oh, you might have walking strep. Didn't have that. Never mentioned the whole bladder issue. Don't know why. That was kind of dumb of me. Continued to get worse. It was so emotionally and mentally draining, especially when doctors keep telling you that you're fine and nothing's wrong with you. And there was no reason. But eventually I stopped complaining and I kind of just hid my feelings. I guess I kind of saw the repercussion of this. October 8th grade, I developed a cough. But I developed a very severe cough. I would cough chronically. This lasted an entire year. Could you imagine would cough so bad at night, especially too, because I couldn't stop myself from coughing. Sister would be angry because I was waking her up, and I was like, bitch, like, how do you think the fuck I feel? And I would go sleep in my mom and dad's room. My dad would sleep in the basement, and this basically went on every other day for a year. I would stay up till 2 a.m. coughing, and I would skip first period band, and it made my cough worse. So I was always skipping band, and eventually second semester dropped out of band. Anyway, my friends were all annoyed with me. Everyone I knew was annoyed with me because I couldn't stop coughing, and I was like, how the f*** do you think I feel? It was my pet peeve. So I went to the doctor 3 different times. They had no idea what was wrong with me. And at this same time, I had issues where I would become extremely dizzy and extremely nauseous for no reason. So I kept going to the doctor for that too. They're like, we don't know what the fuck's wrong with you. And I think my mistake was going to my general practitioner for all of these issues. Love her to death. She didn't know what to do. There was a lot of specialty doctors that came from this. Okay, I remember going to a cardiologist after all these general practitioner appointments, and they tested my heart, all this stuff. I was really freaked out because I was like, why am I at a cardiologist? They thought that I had postural orthostatic tachycardic syndrome, POTS. It is a condition that affects the circulation and blood flow. POTS is a form of orthostatic intolerance development. My heart rate would go from 60 when I was sitting down to 115 when I stood up. And that was like one of the key things. They're like, you probably have this. So they weren't very helpful. They're like, eat more salt and drink more water and you should probably be fine. Didn't work, so I don't even know if I had that, or if I still do. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised because I fall down every time I stand up. So that was the time when my general practitioner diagnosed me with asthma. She gave me an inhaler and I used it, and it didn't do jack. It wasn't asthma. They recommended that I meet with a pulmonologist, which is a lung doctor. Lung doctor tested my breathing. I didn't breathe in enough air, which was causing my larynx to flop. And my breathing out air was fine. Asthma is when you can't breathe air out, but that was fine. So they're like, you don't have asthma, throw away your inhaler. So I was like, oh, sick. He was like, that's a bad cough. It's because of your larynx. And I was like, oh, sick. That's great, because I knew the reason for it. And then he prescribed me to a speech pathologist. This lady specialized in chronic coughs. So what she did was she gave me a bunch of techniques to soothe my chronic cough. They took a picture of my throat looking for any tumors that could have caused it. Didn't have a tumor. That was great. So during this time, I also got sent to an endocrinologist because when they did my labs, my thyroid level was very high. So it kept going up and down and up and down and up and down. Never got medication for that. They thought that was the reason that I was so nauseous all the time, but I had been gaining weight, so it wouldn't make sense. I was supposed to be losing weight. What he thought happened was some sort of virus attacked my thyroid, and then it leaked all of its juice out, and then it was underactive because it was like destroyed. So they were like, you could either like destroy your thyroid and take thyroid hormone pills for the rest of your life, or try to take medicine to calm it down. Both kind of sucky options, and my parents were like, okay, we should probably wait. I don't really want to do that. Then we went to the gastroenterologist because of the nausea. That's also a place where I was prescribed through other doctors to go there. Endocrinologist basically deals with your stomach and your stomach lining in your system. She informed me that I likely had acid reflux, and she gave me omeprazole for that, and didn't know that I had that when I took the medicine. I was like, oh my god, my throat. But she suggested we should test the speed of my stomach because that could be making me nauseous. If you have a slow digesting stomach, it can back you up, make you really nauseous. So we were like, that could be plausible. So we did a test, and this was the worst thing ever. They put radioactive material into your eggs, and they make you eat it, and then you have to get x-rayed every 10 minutes for 1 minute for 4 hours straight. I was watching Thor during that time, and the doctor goes, oh, you're watching Thor, is it because he's hot? And I was just like, literally, all I said was, no. That was really triggering personally as an MCU fan. It was a 15-year-old boy that would not be the comment that would be made. Just saying. And that's facts. I'm in my cabin, so that's why it says weekend getaway on this weird bed. Like, don't mind that. Eventually, the test results came back. My stomach digested food 25% slow, which is a big deal. So they put me on stomach speed rubbers, don't know what they're called, right before summer. And if I'm gonna be honest, I don't think they did anything, but the lab showed that my stomach was slow. So maybe it did do something and I just didn't really know because I had like underlying nausea from other things. This is the time when speech pathologist for my chronic cough recommended that I see a sports psychologist because she was like, this looks kind of sus, like your coughing gets worse before events and before school and during school. During times, like maybe you have some underlying anxiety. And she was like, maybe, like, so she sent me to a sports psychologist, was almost trying to like sound cooler by making it a sports psychologist. It was so dumb. The lady was so annoying, and she had me write all of my fears down the board, and then she made me write my eye color, and she goes, which one is real? And I'm like, well, no, this isn't gonna happen to me, but like, I don't know, like my brain doesn't know that it won't. Anyway, went there probably 4 times, didn't go back. She was not helpful, didn't diagnose me with anything. She just kind of talked about me not very well. Anyway, okay, so eventually the chronic cough, after an entire year of coughing constantly, it subsided and it went away. And during that time, my gastroenterologist, she was like, you're still really nauseous. We're going to stick a scope down your throat and see what's there. It was an endoscopy. Don't know why I didn't just say that. So basically they put me to sleep and it was really scary. I was really scared. They stuck a giant tube down my throat and looked through my stomach to look for tumors, or lumps or stuff that would affect my nausea, ulcers, whatever. Didn't find anything, so that's great. Just another reason for me to be annoyed because of what's wrong with me. Then I went in for 2 more screenings on my thyroid, 3 different x-rays. I had to take medicine, and they basically saw that nothing was wrong with it, but the labs disagreed, so it was a whole confusing thing. So then was freshman year. Freshman year started. My nausea got so bad. My having to pee got really, really bad. Dizziness, everything was still really bad. And a few months into freshman year, I was sitting in the car with my mom at lunch, and I just kind of broke down. I started screaming and crying. I just want to say that this was made worse by my math teacher, who, anytime I asked to go to the bathroom, which was every class, he would say, are you sure you really have to go now? This is not the best time. And on our final, the day of the final, he would not let me leave to go to the bathroom for 2 hours. I was done with my final. I just had to pee. So I sat there and I cried. Whatever. And so once I broke down, started crying, my mom was like, hey, this isn't good. So she booked me an appointment with a psychologist. She diagnosed me with severe general anxiety disorder and severe social anxiety disorder. And she was like, this is likely the reason for all of your previous medical issues. And I was like, what? Sorry. You're telling me that I had a chronic cough for a year, acid reflux, a slow stomach, a thyroid issue, POTS, and all of this stuff because of anxiety. It was literally all in my head. So that was really upsetting personally because it made me feel like everything that I was feeling and doing was stupid because it was all in my head. But at the same time, it made me feel better because it felt like I was diagnosed with something and I knew the reasoning for it. So that was kind of nice. But things didn't just start going well. Therapy didn't do jack shit for me personally. Just me. That's not everyone. And so I was like, can I please talk to my psychologist about getting medication? And she was like, we'll see what she thinks about it, but okay. She, for whatever reason, she didn't really want me to do that, which now looking back on it, I mean, I get it, but it's kind of dumb. So we talked to her about it, and she advised us, because psychologists can't actually prescribe medication, so she advised us to go to my general practitioner, my pediatrician. Why do I say general practitioner? Too much Grey's Anatomy time. My pediatrician prescribed me Zoloft. It didn't work. We went up to 150. Didn't work. We added hydroxyzine, which is a muscle relaxant. It's supposed to calm you when you're anxious, makes you really tired too. And then after like 4 months of that, we switched to Prozac. We tried all these different doses along with the hydroxyzine. Didn't work. After 4 months of that, we switched to Lexapro. We're still there. We're still here. Hi. Eventually, like, this wasn't working, and we had tried so many things for like 8 months, and I was so done. And eventually, we made an appointment with a psychiatrist, which was a really long wait. I think she diagnosed me with depression. I don't know. It was kind of unclear. Sometimes they like say it, but you don't really know what they're saying. So that's why I never like say it. Did she? I don't know. I think she did. She adds on Boost Pro to the medication, and that didn't work. And after 2 months of that, we switched to gabapentin, which is actually a medication for seizures, and that's what I'm on right now. So if I do have a seizure, I'll be fine. Yeah, so that's where we are now. The gabapentin isn't really working. I keep doing this. I like this, and I am so annoyed by it. I don't know, the whole thing was like really difficult for me because I saw my best friends, two of my best friends, also have anxiety, and their prescriptions were perfect, and it was good for their anxiety right away. Sorry for watching this, and that's not really correct. That's just the impression that I got, and so it made me feel like really upset. So it's like it works for them. Like, why isn't this stuff working for me? But everyone's brain is different. Everyone's brain chemistry is different. I don't know. This diagnosis for me was just really significant because I had been suffering with undiagnosed anxiety for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, 4 years. The anxiety from the sensory processing disorder might have... Hey guys, so I'm just editing, and I wanted to say, the purpose that I wanted to say with this video is that it is so important to talk to your doctors about what you're actually feeling and everything you're going through in your life, your stressors and all these other things, because that impacts your physical health so much. So yeah, thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up, comment down below anything you want. I love you. Subscribe. We tend to forget that baby steps still move you forward. Very cute. Okay, bye.